Mr. Rose, in the basement of 18 St. James's Street, you hear two screams, one coming from the ghost itself, the other coming from Irma Thicket, her eyes locked on a porcelain vase that is overflowing with blood. And that is a clue, by the way.
Okay. I hold on for a long moment to the screaming figure. God has not helped you, but I will. It may not be what you want, but I am going to give you what you need. And I let it go.
The ghost vanishes, and the temperature returns to normal in the kitchen. Miss Thicket, a bit paler than when you last saw her, gingerly puts the knife onto the kitchen table. I think the mutton can wait a little bit.
Yes, my apologies for that.
Yes, that was something.
And you've never seen anything like that?
No, sir. Not like that.
All right. Is there anyone in the house that has?
I'm sure the Beals will be able to tell you something, perhaps.
All right. Let me help you clean this up, and then I'll let you get back to it.
Wainsworth.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Oh, me?
In the morgue, this young woman, still leaning on her medical text over just a corpse in a sheet. Ginny Hess, I do recall something. When we were examining her body, it was unusual. There weren't any outward signs of death. Ordinarily, when someone dies that young, it's from an accident or something. But the body appeared without injury, really. But there was something unusual about it. All up her left arm were written a series of numbers.
Do you have a note or record of these numbers?
I do. And she goes to a filing cabinet and pulls a couple pieces of paper and shows you. That is a clue. A series of numbers written in an unusual place. The unusual place being Miss Hess's left arm. Now, this is the point where I, as the keeper, tell you that I am not given any details as to what the numbers are, but that is a bit of detail that you can give when it comes time to answering the question if you think that it would help steer these sort of clues in a particular direction that you are trying to go down.
Interesting.
It's just hell and like numbers
Boobs,
when you
yeah.
look in a mirror.
No.
It says, hello, boobs.
Have you ever seen anything else quite like this before?
Well, I mean, people have all sorts of unusual tattoos. I've seen several very colorful ones.
But nothing quite as peculiar?
No, and it wasn't a tattoo at all, and it wasn't ink either. It was just in the skin.
Like a brand?
Yes. Wainsworth, how does this all make you feel?
Oh, in my deepest of little hearts, I think Wainsworth is, at the very least, perplexed by the brand and curious if it came before or after death. If it was like a way of distinguishing help around the house or if it was like something that came later.
Ooh.
Interesting. Take the condition Thoughts of Death.
Oh, so exciting.
Where to next for you, Wainsworth?
Well, I think Mr. Rose did say that we'd meet at the house, so I think I'll start moseying my way that way.
Fantastic. Okay, sounds good. Miss Cross, the ramifications of your failed information move have sent you to the hell that is a hours-long tea with the neighbor at 16 St. James's Street, a Miss Constance Head.
The hell? That is tea time with a suburban woman.
Yeah. Yeah. She is very kind of like she's giving vibes of like the president of her street's HOA.
Oh.
Yuck.
Oh.
Yeah, no. You're not supposed to like this lady. Let me be clear.
Yeah, no worries. I'm there.
You don't have to worry about that.
I don't know. I was about to ask if you guys wanted to start a band called Shrub Neighbor.
Shrub ladies.
And she is just prattling on and on about the people of St. James's Street, how someone had very garish decorations recently for Christmas that did not go with the rest of the house, how someone has insisted upon hanging yellow roses outside their door, which is just simply ghastly. White or red is traditional.
Boy, I think I am very used to being able to steer conversation, and it's just not making it in past any of the things she's saying. All of the things she's spewing out are creating like a verbal barrier, and nothing that I say is like getting through to like lead her where I need it to go.
Miss Cross, why don't you take the condition a quote-unquote close friend of Miss Head?
Oh no.
afternoon with a PTO, Mom.
And actually, I have a paint the scene for you all now that we're in Miss Head's living quarters. Constance Head is a snoop and a busybody. What do we see here that confirms this?
Oh, she absolutely has a little set of the little opera binoculars.
Yeah.
But, like, they're not set away. They're not put up, where they should be and, collected as she goes to the opera. No, they're out. They're near the windowsill.
She has a set of notebooks that she just kind of writes down memos and notes of people's comings and goings and transgressions against what's proper in the neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, there's somehow a pencil or a writing utensil on every single windowsill in this room.
So, Miss Head, you're obviously very knowledgeable about the goings-on on this street, and particularly next door. You must get a pretty good view of the neighborhood and the neighbors that you have here.
As you ask this, Miss Cross, Constance stands up and pulls back the curtains, and you see that there is just an enormous window that faces right out onto 18 St. James's Street.
Oh, yes, that is quite the view. Wow.
Yes, it's an eyesore, isn't it? I told Alice not to paint it that color.
Looking at the Beals house, is there anything interesting from the outside?
Go ahead and make the information move with reason. Man, you have the condition a close personal friend of Constance Head, but I'm not going to give you disadvantage because Constance also loves looking at 18 St. James's Street.
10.
Fantastic. We'll come back to you shortly. Mr. Rose and Wainsworth, I suppose. We could say that Wainsworth, you're arriving as Mr. Rose is heading up the stairs of the kitchen.
I actually love the idea of if Wainsworth knocked, that I just turn quickly as I'm putting my jacket on, coming up, and I just turn back to Miss Thicket. Don't worry, I'll take care of it, love. And I'll come open the door.
Oh, hello, sir.
I was expecting you.
Anything interesting you dug up?
Oh, yes. We most certainly have a ghost here.
Always work, isn't there?
Always. This one seems rather nasty.
Did you have personal dealings with it, sir?
And I, turn my palm up where I feel like there's still just that, red splotch from holding something so cold. A bit.
Well, perhaps we can fix it tonight, sir.
Yes, maybe. I think we still have a few people that we might have conversations with.
Would you like company?
Yes, please.
And I'll go follow wherever we're going.
All right, so let me describe 18 St. James's Street in a bit more detail here, and you can choose where it is you would like to go. We have 3 levels to 18 St. James's Street, not including the basement, which you've already visited. We have the ground floor, which contains 2 rooms. There is a front room, which is seating for visitors, a small library. There's also a dining room further off onto the ground floor. Upstairs are a series of bedrooms for the residents of the house. There is also the attic, which has been converted into a nursery for the baby.
Is there anyone coming and going from the main level here?
Yes, you see a woman in her early mid-30s who is sitting on the settee in the front room.
We'll step in.
I have a paint the scene about the front room here. What in this room indicates that the Beals are living a little bit above their station?
I'm picturing a rug in the center of the room, and if you look closely enough at it, you can see fraying and loose threads and a well-worn rug.
There are some vases and statues that upon close inspection you can see have been painted to maybe look like they're more of what's in style right now.
I love that.
I think there's a painting, one featured item in the room that is not only legit, but very expensive and very fancy. They wanted to make sure that the focal point was something ostentatious, and they, probably put a little too much money into that just so that people would see that first and then not necessarily look too close at everything else.
Seated on a little worn settee is a young-ish woman. She's wearing a simple tartan dress. She's a bit of a sweet disposition, but she looks tired. Mayhaps not used to doing any of her own housework.
Hello there.
Oh, hello. I'm so sorry. My husband is not at home. He's usually the one that gives the tours, but if you were interested in waiting a couple hours, I'm sure he would be here and happy to show you the house, she says with a bit of an eye roll.
Oh, no, that's all right. I'm more inclined to speak with those of you that live here than take a tour where I likely won't see anything that I would hope to anyway.
Are you with the police? I did talk to Scotland Yard about all of this, and they didn't do anything, so...
No. We are not with the police. We intend to help.
All right. Help how?
Well, I just had a bit of a run-in with something that dwells here and hoped to get any clarity on what that entity might be.
Oh, it really is a shame. Poor Ginny. She was a lovely girl, and so good with Roger and the baby, and now thanks to that ridiculous tabloid, I haven't been able to find a replacement. And now all this talk of ghosts. Can you imagine?
I can imagine, yes. You've not seen anything, noticed anything odd?
I mean, it's an old house. Harold got a very good deal on it, and, I assumed that something would be wrong with it, but no, ghosts, absolutely not. I mean, the servants talk, of course, but...
Oh, certainly, yes.
Roger, always saying he sees things, but he's 9. He sees everything.
And that's your son?
Yes.
Oh. Is he home?
You hear, stomping upstairs of someone rambunctiously playing. Oh, yes.
I wonder if he would be inclined to give a tour if he's said he's seen things.
Don't encourage him. He got the idea from Harold. He loves parading his little friends about. 2 pence for a ghost tour.
Oh, well, that's quite affordable.
A fair deal, if anything.
Yeah. You say it's an old house. What are the sort of creaks and groans that you've noticed?
Make the information move with presence.
Okay. That's a 10.
Oh.
My fancy spooky dice are either 1s or 6s.
Wainsworth, while this conversation is going on, I think you can't help but peek the rest of the house, and you do see on the staircase a young boy about 9 years old dressed in a sailor's outfit who is watching you with some interest.
I love him.
Oh, are you the master of the house?
He, motions for you to come up the stairs.
Okay, I'll go up close to him.
You head up the stairs, and this little boy puts his hands squarely on his hip. Well, I am. My father isn't here, so the responsibility falls to me to be the man of the house while my dad is out.
I hear a rumor that this place isn't all that it seems. Perhaps you'd be willing to share some information?
You mean about it being haunted?
That's what some people say.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I haven't seen much of the ghost myself, but I reckon it's a bloody terror, considering what it did to Ginny.
Do you know any information about what it did to Ginny? I mean, that must have been dreadful for you to go through.
Oh, I was scared as shit, Mum. Sir.
It's one of those moments with little kids where they're like, what are you?
He says shit with the relish of a child who has recently learned to swear.
The excitement.
Every curse is fresh and new.
Oh, I love that for him. He's so smart. Those were the days. Well, perhaps if I slide a little coin your way, you could show me some of these secrets, tell me some of these stories of this house.
He holds out a hand expectantly.
I'll give 4p.
Ooh, double. Fantastic. He pockets it greedily. All right. I have to warn you, though. Just because I've taken your money does not mean I guarantee your safety.
That's okay. I'm sure a big, strong man like yourself can protect me.
He puffs out his little sailor suit-clad chest.
Oh.
Follow me! And he races up the stairs.
Oh. I'll go up after him.
So how do you want to gather information here, Wainsworth? Are you talking to Roger? Are you, listening to him and just sort of looking around the house by yourself? What's the goal here?
I think the way I want to go about collecting information, it's sort of like when you play with your younger cousin and they go just monologue and you occasionally slip in a question or two there to clarify something, where I'm letting him kind of guide the tour, guide the situation, and occasionally I try to slide a little question, trying to learn, see if he has any insight.
Let him think he's leading, but then you lead him.
Exactly.
He starts leading you up onto the second floor. This is a series of bedrooms. There are rooms for Mr. Beale, Mrs. Beale. They are indeed that sort of couple. Roger, and a guest room. I have a paint the scene here as we're looking amidst the bedrooms. What about these rooms unnerves you?
There's no artwork. There are trinkets and decor around on different tables and such, but there's no artwork hung on the walls.
I was thinking it's all a little too tidy and neat. The bedding is pressed just a little too firmly to the bed. The clothes are all tucked away. It doesn't look like anything has really been touched.
There's only 1 lamp or candle per room.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh,
Ambiance.
Spooky.
I feel like it's become too much of a chore to keep relighting multiple.
Wainsworth, as you're going through these bedrooms with Roger Beale, go ahead and make the information move with presence.
10.
Yeah, let's go.
Nice.
That +0 to my presence really came in handy.
A lot of full successes here. I'm proud of you all. I'm a little dismayed, but I'm proud.
We're locked in.
Oh, me too. This is a nice change. Except for that 3 really put me back in line.
Yeah, our unaired pilot, everyone had fucking 2 or 3 conditions. Things were very dire.
We were dying so fast.
Masks everywhere. Miss Cross, standing in Constance Head's living room, gazing out at 18 St. James's Street. Miss Head has left into the kitchen to prepare more tea. She insists that you're not taking it with enough sugar. And as you are looking at 18 St. James's Street, your eyes settle on a particular window in the house where you're seeing a blazing inferno happening in the room and smoke billowing out of the window and the roar and the crackle of a fire. And then you blink and it's gone. That is a clue.
Ooh, okay. While Miss Head is gone, can I look through her notes by the window facing the Beals' home?
Oh, interesting. So looking through her notebooks, which she has everywhere, to see if she's got any dirt on the Beals.
Yeah, because I figure anything odd that she would have written down, even if she doesn't realize it's odd and she's just kind of being nosy, I might be able to pick up on something that is supernatural that she may not have recognized as such.
Yeah, I love that. As you are opening one of her journals, you hear Miss Head from the kitchen shout out, "Fiona, was it 3 lumps of sugar or 4? I can't quite recall."
Let's go with 5.
Oh, fantastic. Go ahead and make the information move with reason, looking through her journals. Boy, yeah, I should give you disadvantage on this, just because you are, of particular note for Miss Head.
Ugh, that's a 5. I rolled 2 4s and a 1.
Oh,
You live here now.
new roommate.
It's not too late to retire this character to safety, and by safety I mean outside of fucking Constant Head's house.
How can I trigger my curse?
Constance catches you nose deep in one of her journals as she comes back with the sugar. Well, I heard about the rudeness of Americans, but it's one thing to hear about it, another thing to see it myself.
I'm terribly sorry. It's just I was so drawn in by how thorough and organized these notes were, and the level of attentiveness is staggering. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
No, I will not accept any of your American flattery right now, no matter how charming you may be.
That's fair. I'm terribly sorry to have offended you. You've been so kind. Actually,
Oh no, you're ill.
no, it's just I think allergies. Maybe your shrubs out front, kicking up the allergies in here. You should have somebody look at them. I think I'm gonna go before and I just start sneezing over all her stuff.
I am going to tell the rest of the neighbors about you. The whole neighborhood, in fact.
All right. Well, don't forget it's Cross. Fiona Cross when you tell them.
Go and take the condition a subject of scandal.
Do I still keep the condition a close friend of Miss Head?
I think change it to an enemy of Miss Head.
Okay.
Oh. They're going to write about you in the paper?
At least in the HOA pamphlet.
At least.
Mr. Rose, in the drawing room with Alice Beale, you've inquired about any sort of odd quirks of the house. Well, there is one. Ginny was always complaining about it, but I never really had to deal with it because, well, looking after the baby was Ginny's task. But now that she's no longer with us, it falls to me to look after Mary Alice. But the door to her nursery always seems to be locked. I always keep the key with me just to unlock it, but even when I've left it unlocked, the next time you come back, that door is locked. Every single time.
Well, now that is very curious, isn't it?
That is a clue. A door that is always locked when you return to it, no matter how many times you unlock it.
Well, I'm sure that can be explained away with faulty tumblers and such inside the lock mechanism.
Yes, I'm sure it's something like that. I've talked to Harold about getting some man to look after it, but he thinks it's far too expensive and something that he can fix by himself, but of course he hasn't.
What does he do for a living, that is?
Oh, Harold. He's a bookkeeper.
Oh,
He likes to flavor himself a mathematician. Deals with numbers and figures, all sorts of things.
a practical man, then.
Yes.
Odd, it seems, that he's giving ghost tours as such a practical man. I guess the practicality there being a little extra income?
I don't approve of it, of course. It was Harold that gave the story to the Illustrated Police News. By his view, it was a way to make a bit of money after our tragedy.
Oh, I see.
I don't approve, but it is Harold's house.
Yes, well, that doesn't make it less of a home for those of you that must be here.
I quite agree, Mr. Rose.
Have there been a lot of people coming and going, wanting these tours?
Oh, yes, all sorts.
Anyone of note?
I try not to pay too much attention to them. The thought of strangers looking into our bedrooms and things, it's ghastly.
Yes, very invasive.
Yes, where I sleep, where my children sleep.
Well, my sincerest apologies for what you're going through.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. It is nice to have someone who understands all the trouble I'm going through.
I see it a lot, actually. I deal with oddities by trade, and I think you would agree that your house is a bit of an oddity, even by virtue of having tours through it.
Oddity is one way to put it, Mr. Rose.
Why don't you give me a tour?
A tour of what, Mr. Rose?
Whatever you'd like to show me.
Oh no, now I'm on the other side.
A tour of these lips. Oh.
Listen, I do know one of your fucking Dawn questions.
I was trying so hard to keep it together because you just being like, oh, that's terribly invasive.
Meanwhile, I'm upstairs.
And then, and I was like, cut to
Plop, plop,
Wayne's
plop,
being like,
plop.
what's in this room?
Hey, kid,
Just
can you
in the Lily house, like,
Yeah.
what's in here?
tell me more about your family trauma while I go through your bedrooms?
Where's your bedroom?
Like,
God.
there is a degree of, like, I've obviously tracked that Wainsworth has gone to do their thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm just like, I can probably take out several birds with one stone right now. Be a distraction and stuff.
And stuff. Indeed, yes. I'm blushing. Alice. poor neglected Alice. Stands and smooths her dress a bit. Well, upstairs are the bedrooms. I don't suppose you'd be interested in taking a look at those.
Well, it seems that there was a death in this house. Scandalous things tend to happen in bedrooms.
Well, good thing I have an expert with me.
Let's see what I can show you.
She leads you upstairs. We're going to go ahead and I think that's probably the end of your day phase, Mr. Rose.
Yep.
Wainsworth.
Well, I'm exploring with her child.
If there ever was a moment to transfer to night moves.
I hear them coming up the stairs. I'm like, quick, in the closet, come on.
Boy,
We gotta
yeah,
hide.
I think what we see here is Wainsworth, you're with Roger Beale, and I think you hear two sets of footsteps coming up and like a little bit of like giggling from Alice Beale, and you're just like scruffing Roger by the neck of his sailor suit and just pulling him into like his room or like the guest room or something just to like get out of the hallway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just trying to be like, okay, time to hide.
Let's close this door for a little bit. And
Mr. Rose is on a fact-finding mission.
Hey, Roger, you got any songs you know that you can sing really loud?
Yeah.
Let's go through the alphabet. A.
So Wainsworth pulling Roger Beale into his own room and like very hastily closing the door as you hear Mr. Rose and Alice Beale walk by. Roger is so excited to tell you all the things that he thinks he's heard about the ghost. And a lot of it is, what you can tell, is pretty unfounded.
Perfect.
But as he's prattling on, and he's taking great joy in showing you all the toys in his room. He's got a lot of like model ships, little dolls, and little toys. And you are being a very good sport and taking a look at all of those. Your eye settles on the window that is looking out of Roger Beale's bedroom. And it doesn't look out onto the street. It looks out onto a country house. You see a meadow, a small little cottage on a grassy hill, and the cottage is on fire. That is a clue.
If I keep watching out the window, does the imagery shift? Does it change? What kind of happens?
As you continue looking at this image, you then see the street appear in place of the cottage. It's kind of almost like looking at like a double image. Like you can see it when you're trying to focus on it, and then you can see the normal street when you're not trying to.
Ooh, okay. Master Roger, can I ask you something?
You can ask me anything.
Have you ever noticed anything, I don't know, funny when you look out the windows of your home? Perhaps it's something that's not really there?
Oh, you mean the fire?
I do mean the fire.
I see it sometimes.
So, with this fire, do you feel anything? Do you feel scared? Does it make you feel strong?
Makes me feel brave, of course.
Of course.
Do you think I should be pointing out the windows on the ghost tour?
I think that they could be an interesting highlight, for sure.
He pulls out a little notepad. I will make a note of it.
I cannot wait to see your next tour.
Thank you for letting me practice. Usually I give it for my friends, so it feels very professional to be giving it for an adult.
Well, you are quite the professional. Maybe you have a future in this sort of thing.
Thank you. I tried very fucking hard.
Get it, King.
We love Roger Beale.
I would destroy any monster for him. Anything to keep him safe.
And I believe this concludes our day phase, I'm pretty sure, with Miss Cross fleeing Constance Head's house. Wainsworth waiting somewhat dutifully outside 18 St. James's Street for Lancel Rose to come down.
Yeah, I give it a good hour, then 2 hours, and...
Yeah, we're going to have to skip a couple of phases, probably.
You know, it reaches a certain point where I'm like... Maybe it's going to be an all-night thing.
Yeah, I think I meet Wainsworth outside the house and then get filled in on the situation. So I tell them, all right, I have somewhere else to be. I will come back later. And I will go check in on Lillian.
Wainsworth missed the bus to the bone zone, unfortunately.
Well done, hunters. We have several clues with which to possibly apply to some of the questions for 18 St. James's Street. But with the conclusion of our day phase begins another phase, the dusk phase. But I think we'll leave that to the next episode.
Shadows in the Smoke is a Critshow Studios production, produced by Kim Dalton with music by Jake Purley. This episode edited by Eric Wilburn and sound designed by Kim Dalton.